So the 2025 Gold Cup is just around the corner, and I really want Jamaica to have a damn good one this time around. I want to see them in the semifinals, if not the final this year, but they're not a perfect team. There's a lot of things they need to improve on. So here are a few things that I have compiled for you guys. Hopefully Steve McClaren is watching this and the JFF at this point and does make some changes to their overall style of play to have a successful Gold Cup. Now, the first thing and I talk about this in every single Jamaica video I do, essentially, literally every single one. I don't remember the last one we did where I didn't mention this. The first thing they need to focus on improving is that midfield, man. That midfield is so weak for the caliber of players they have. Oh, like I said, great caliber of players. It's not the individual players, in my opinion, as to why the midfield just doesn't work. It's that Steve McClaren and Jaime, even before then, who instilled this level, this ideology in the team, in the build-up. They don't let them have any interplay in the midfield. There's just no passes between them, between the center mids and a cam or a CDM or anything. There's just no interplay with them. There's no chance for them to build chemistry and be able to grow as a unit in that midfield and have a successful midfield presence against the top nations in CONCACAF, USA, Mexico, Canada, even Panama, Costa Rica. It's just non-existent. And that's because Steve McClaren, all he wants to do in the build-up is have the center backs with the ball or the keeper and just boot it forward and hope that the strong striker in, Shamar Nicholson or Michael Antonio, obviously when he is healthy, to get that ball, trap it, and play it off to a running winger. That's literally all he does. Nothing else happens when it comes to that build-up other than booting it forward. Steve McClaren, I think, is at fault for how lackluster the midfield has been. And it's very obvious, man. It's very obvious that this midfield is not ready for other midfields in the region, especially when they're playing the likes of the USA or Canada, Mexico too. I mean, any of these big teams in CONCACAF, the midfield just bosses Jamaica. In my opinion, at least in most football games, you win or lose based off how you perform in the midfield, right? There's only so much you can do booting the ball forward or just sitting back. You can't expect to have so much success where it's okay. There's some games where I'm sure you can do it and it might be fine. It sometimes works versus the USA if they just sit back and let it happen and then boot it forward and you get maybe 2 or 3 opportunities in the game. But for the most part, it just doesn't really work. I think Steve McClaren, to be successful in the Gold Cup and even maybe the World Cup 2026, needs to change how he builds up the attack. It needs to function through the midfield in a much, much better way. At least, even if you lose some games, at least I want to see him try to have the midfield at least try to work together in some capacity, because you just don't see that often. You sometimes see it against like weaker opponents in World Cup qualifying or friendlies or things like that. You saw it against the USA a little bit in the most recent edition of the Nations League. And I thought it looked good. I thought they were actually getting opportunities and at least looking for better chances moving forward while they did that. But at some point, I don't know if it's Steve telling them to or they just do. They just revert back to that whole kicking the ball forward. It just doesn't work in my opinion. That is the number one thing I think they need to improve on. Not even them. I think Steve needs to improve on that before they're playing Gold Cup, or they're not going to have that much success. Now, of course, the midfield is going to be kind of tough in CONCACAF, right? CONCACAF is a very physical game, and compared to other federations around the world. It's definitely a little bit different. But even that, they need to give the opportunity to build up against that. Let your players get bullied around the midfield so they know how to respond to that, instead of just letting it happen and just not knowing what to do in those situations. Let them have that opportunity by playing through the midfield. You can even have your wide wingbacks go out wide, give an opportunity, and then you have like a cross five in the middle, which I like a lot more than what they do now. It just doesn't work the way they do now. They're just running back and forth without no plan, moving through the middle. It just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. But if you think differently, obviously let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to be responding to as many as we can. Now, the second thing I think they need to improve on, which kind of relates to the whole midfield thing, is goal scoring. Goal scoring, which, yes, I know it sounds like I don't know ball. It sounds like everybody says, oh, the one thing they need to improve on is score more goals. It's true though. Jamaica doesn't score that many goals, man. Not as much as they should with the level of talent that they have. Now, yes, I do think, like I said, it relates to the midfield thing. They don't get as many goal scoring opportunities as they maybe should, or better goal scoring opportunities, because of that lack of interplay in the midfield, which can grant you a lot of space and opportunity to make runs and whatnot. It's really hard to get goal scoring opportunities if you're just booting the ball forward. But even when they do get opportunities, they don't have many goals. They don't score that many goals or have many chances many goals from those chances. I think they heavily need to improve upon that. You have Demarai Gray, Leon Bailey, probably Shamar Nicholson, because there's no Michael Antonio. If you get Mason Greenwood for this Gold Cup, I think a lot of your problems are solved there. But if you don't, what are they going to do? What is Steve McClaren doing to increase the expected goal rate for this team? I'm not seeing much recently, and I hope that changes, but they just need to start scoring goals. They need to bury opportunities before they go behind. I feel like Jamaica, at least against the bigger teams, are always fighting from behind, man. It's really hard. And you think about a lot of the wins they have against bigger opponents have come from, I don't want to say lucky, but very high quality goals, if that makes sense. I mean, let's think about their third place game against Panama in the 2024 Nations League. Lembekiza had a beautiful strike, I believe, from outside the box, and they won 1-0. No other goal scored. They had to win based off of a out of the box goal. Those don't happen that often. And I'm not saying that they should just start shooting those from wherever they can, but that is the only way like they're scoring. Like there's not many good opportunities. And if they have good crosses, I can think of numerous times where they cross the ball in and either no one's there or no one's in a good position to get the ball where they should be. Things like that, I think, need to be heavily improved on, and it should be a big focus in training leading up to the Gold Cup. Now, I will say, in the last international window, I did like Warner Brown a lot. I think Warner Brown does deserve some more opportunities with the Jamaican national team, just to at least grow with them. He's a good goal scorer, a great striker of the ball. So I think he could be a good piece there. Ron Nicholson, on the other hand, I don't know, man. It just like at one point he was very good for Jamaica. He was scoring a lot for Jamaica, right? But just recently, I feel like he just hasn't been in and around those positions well enough to score more goals. Michael Antonio obviously is hurt. And then, like I said, if you bring in Mason Greenwood, then great. I think he's going to solve a lot of problems and it would increase the attack exponentially. I think it'd be amazing. But even Leon Bailey and Demarai Gray, man, I think they need to be scoring just a little bit more, taking better chances, taking shots from where people might not normally expect them to. Just start, launching the ball here and there. They're gonna fall in. They're good. They are great enough players to get good opportunities, and they just either aren't or are taking advantage of them. So I think goal scoring is a big problem that Jamaica needs to focus on if they want to win any of these games. If they stay in the group stage, move out of the group stage, any one of those games, I think they need to be able to score the ball. That's how you win games, obviously. I know it sounds simple, but apparently it's not to some teams like Jamaica. They need to be scoring more goals. The third thing I think they need to improve on is just starting the game hot. Against a lot of the bigger opponents in CONCACAF, it's very obvious, right? They don't come out of the gates firing. And that's really hard to play with. Like I said earlier in the video, they're always playing from behind. Whether they're down a goal or not, they're playing, at least in terms of momentum, they're always playing from behind. Those first 20 minutes are always so hard for Jamaica to get anything going. And I'm not sure why. I don't know why they're not motivated or have any sort of momentum going into the match to start off. But against many opponents, this has been a problem. This was a problem in the Nations League. This was a big problem in the Copa America, which we saw. We went to the game. We vlogged it if you guys haven't watched that yet. It was very obvious that they just don't start well. That first game against Mexico, I think they could have got something from that game if they started off well. It took them like 25 minutes to really start getting into the game. That cannot be a consistent issue with this team. You can't be doing that in every single game of a tournament, hoping that you're going to get some success from it. You just can't. That's just not possible because at some point, one of those teams is going to take big advantage of those those first 20 minutes and really, start demolishing you from there. It's even worse if they score a goal in the first 10 or 20 minutes because you have to start building up momentum again behind a goal. It's just really hard. Obviously, you know that. That's again, it sounds simple, but it's not. Jamaica just doesn't know how to start these games hot. They don't know how to start these games ready, and that's a big problem. I'm tired of waiting for that halftime talk and for them to have a good 20 minutes after halftime and hoping something comes from it, but no goals are scored, and then we're back to square one. It's a very consistent issue with this team that's very frustrating, and I'm sure you guys know. I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's very frustrating. It's very annoying to see that team go out there. You're excited. You're ready to watch this game. You're sitting down. You're leaned over on your chair watching this game, hoping they're going to beat Panama, Guatemala, whoever they're playing. And they're not ready, right? You give me the ball. Like almost I'll go out there and do that for them because I'm ready when I'm watching. Why are they not ready? It doesn't make sense. You have so much prep time before for them to just be I don't want to say lollygagging, but they're very not up to speed. You can tell too, a lot of these CONCACAF teams, you have to be ready from the get-go. A lot of these teams are. And you can tell how obviously these other teams are ready to run. They know their game plan. They know what they want to do with the ball. And they do it. A lot of times they do it and they dominate the first 20 minutes, but Jamaica always goes into the games just not prepared, not ready, not capable of running, not, a whole lot of things. It's very obvious that they're not ready to start this game. So I think Steve McClaren needs to really instill in these players that they need to start the games ready. That is a big deal. And you know what? I said the midfield thing is important. I think this might be just as important as that, because you can have a great flowing team in the 35th minute. But if the other team already was ready for that, if they're ready from the jump and you're not ready to the 30th minute, they might go up 1 or 2-0. And then what are you going to do? Yeah, good. It's good that you're ready after that. It's good that you woke up, but it's really hard to come back from, right? It's really hard to come back from. So that is a big, big thing for this team that I think they need to focus on. That was 3. If you guys have any more, let me know in the comments down below. It's not a perfect team by any means. There's a lot they could improve on. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure you guys have your own opinions, but hopefully Jamaica has a really, really good 2025 Gold Cup. We will be here watching it. We will be at the stadium watching it, and we might even live stream that game against Panama. We have a lot of content coming out for the Gold Cup, for Jamaica, for a bunch of other teams with a bunch of other creators. Keep an eye out. But there's going to be a lot of things moving forward for Jamaica, for us, and for the team, of course. So make sure to subscribe now if you're not already, so you can keep up to date on things that we are releasing. Turn the notifications on so you know as soon as we do. And yeah, my name's Elijah. This is Getting Football. Hopefully we'll see you guys in future videos. Take it easy.